Now, here's what's happening with everybody who's working under this false economy, this imagined idea that if I can just have enough stuff, go from rags to riches, and get enough things, enough relationships and stuff, I'll have fulfillment in life and fulfillment for eternity. That's not the truth. In fact, all the things of this life are temporal, that they won't last. And the comfort that they bring is fleeting. I know this because I'm a vehicle owner. 3 or 4 years ago, I can't remember how long, but we bought a van. It wasn't new to us, but it was new to us. And I remember getting that van, driving it off the lot, and being like, oh, what a great van. I mean, it was highly rated as far as its engine, and the inside of it was pristine. It was all detailed out, right? So I stood up and I said, all right, here's the rules of the van. Alpha male, right? Here it comes. You will not eat in this van. Yes. You will take your shoes off upon entering this van. I mean, I just went for it, right? Because because you feel good when you get something new and you want it to stay nice. Some of you are able to do that, and I'm deeply troubled by your abilities. I knew this wasn't going to last. I love you, honey, wherever you are. But I knew this wasn't going to last because I'm not the principal driver of that van. My wife is a lot less expecting in that area. She's the mom who's like, hey, we got some fries at the drive-thru. Let's see if I can throw them in your mouth. You know, she's the, you know. And she's fun that way. The kids like her more. But I learned, very quickly that this van is not going to stay clean. It's going to be a petri dish. It's a science experiment in there, right? And that's fine. I'm cool with it. I gave up. But it wasn't bringing me the same comfort that it was when I drove it off the lot. So at least I had the engine. At least I had the assurance that I had a finely tuned machine here and I was never going to have to pay for a repair ever. Here it comes. About 3 weeks ago, we finally had the joy of paying off this van. Our tax check came in. We put the last payments on. Woohoo! It's our van. Can I share with you that in the last 3 weeks, I've had the engine mounts replaced. It's in the tranny shop right now. I've paid about a third of what I originally paid for it. I have now paid again in the last 3 weeks. Okay, I don't like my van. Something that originally brought me joy has brought me angst. And I don't miss the point. The point is that everything that you look to in this life to give you fulfillment will not. Eventually, it will fail you. There is only one thing in existence that cannot fail you. His name is Jesus Christ. He is an unwavering, unfaltering, unfailing lover of your soul. When everything else in life is moving and shaking and breaking, he's the stars that everybody can plot their course to. So get poor. Get him at the center of your life. Stay surrendered to him. Put aside all the things of this life that could distract you from him. That's the first step to fulfillment. Second one's this, that we need to get hungry. It says, blessed are you who are hungry now, for you will be satisfied. What an odd statement. Because I don't know about you, but when I'm hungry, I am the opposite of satisfied. Like, I'm the kind of guy, I got to have my food. I mean, and if I'm like too hungry after a while, I mean, like our kids are this way too. If our son Cooper doesn't eat, he changes. He's not fun to be around at those times because he is deeply. So this is so weird for Jesus to say to me, because if you tell me that if I'm hungry, I'm satisfied, I'm like, what? No, well, look what he says there. If you're hungry, what's the verb tense? You will be satisfied. And so he's not talking about the current state of hunger. He's talking about staying hungry. Look what it says in Matthew chapter 5. If you don't have your Bibles to flip over there, it says in Matthew 5, verse 6, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for, anybody remember? Righteousness. And so again, Jesus goes spiritual with us on this one. He says, look, I'm not talking about you being physically hungry. I'm talking about you being spiritually hungry. And there's this phenomenon in Christianity where Christians find Jesus and they start their relationships with him, but then they go into this funky eating pattern. Here's what I mean. That they get their full. They just can't get enough of them. They have their conversion experience. They put their faith in him. They're just sitting at the banquet table and just feasting. But then as they go on in their life, they start just kind of settling for less and less and less. And then they get, downright bulimic. Here's what I mean by that. They'll go for long periods of time without feeding themselves any Jesus at all. And then they'll come to church for a 4-week binge. Some of you are like that. It's so funny. There's like 3 different churches at our church. There's the people who are always here, the people who visit, once a year because they come in and see their families on any given Sunday. And then there's those of you who kind of rotate. 1 week, 6 weeks off. 1 week, 2 weeks off. I made it today. And I want to, you may be a follower of Jesus Christ. I pray and hope that you are. But I want you to understand that if you're only kind of injecting Jesus into your life 8, 9, 10 times a year, you're missing out on what this whole sanctification, growing in your faith thing was meant to be. You're like someone who goes to Promise Keepers Easter and Christmas services every year. You're a bulimic. You come in, fill up, and then, after a while, it's just gone, and there's long stretches in between. Are you with me? Yeah, what Jesus is saying here is that if you've made all the effort to get poor and to get on your back before Jesus and put your faith in him, for your sake and his, keep going. Grow in your relationship with him. If you haven't heard me say this from the stage, if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, I don't want you to be satisfied with where you are in him right now. My hope, and some of you are like, what, am I not okay? No, you're fine. In fact, let me just push pause there and make sure that everybody understands the context in which I'm saying this. At our church, it's totally okay to not be okay. Did you hear me when I said that? In fact, we're not a church that's going to put on pretense and stand up here and make everybody believe that this pastor or any other pastor or anybody else in this church for that matter has it all together, because we do not. I am a pastor who fails in his life with Christ. Sorry. Working at it, but I don't bat 1,000. That's one of the things that drew me to this church, that it was a place where if you're not okay, that's okay. And so we always want to be a place where folks can come in if they're not okay and hear the life-changing message of Jesus Christ. But here we go. Here's the big key. And change. Because listen, it's okay for you to be here and not be okay, but it is not okay for you to be here being not okay and stay not okay. Is that too weird for you? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Listen, if you're struggling with a sin issue, you're in bondage to some addiction, you're failing in some relationship, you are being crushed under the weight of your guilt, my prayer for you is that you would move forward and keep moving forward in your relationship with Jesus Christ, that you would experience the freedom that can come from his forgiveness, and that you'll walk anew in a life that was completely unlike what you used to live. Are you with me on that? This is a place where if you're sick, you can come and you can hang out, but we don't want you to stay sick. Take your pill, Jesus, and get better. And so Jesus, as soon as he gets done talking about, hey, you got to be poor in spirit, he says, but don't forget, you got to eat. You got to partake. You need to hunger and thirst after me and my righteousness. You need to know the truth, ingest it, and let it transform your life. Look at the warning he gives. He says this. He says, woe to you who are well-fed now, for eventually you will go hungry. Again, he refers back to the things that people, the imagined world and the imagined road of fulfillment that people were on. He says, listen, if you keep filling yourself up with vans that are going to break down, if you keep filling yourself up with relationships that are going to break down, if you keep filling yourself up with the stuff of this world, eventually those things will leave you more hungry. It's like drinking salt water at sea. It doesn't quench your thirst. It dehydrates your body. It makes you more thirsty. And the stuff of this world will leave you more hungry. How many of us are sitting here and can testify to that truth? We tried everything this world had to offer, and here we are. back to where we were meant to be in the first place. Why? Because the stuff of this world doesn't fill you up. That's the truth. He says, look, get on your backs before me. Be poor. But once you're poor, get hungry and stay hungry. You hear me talk about life groups all the time? I'm in a couple, and you may have varying opinions about how life groups work and stuff like that. But listen, we just try to create opportunities for here in our church, life groups, this service on Sundays, other things that we do, so that you can come and eat.